Just while we're on the subject, this is it's a pressure cooker, and it's not for food, but this is where I tested out the emissivity weight on the sides and on the lid. This is some of the test pieces in here. I'll just let you see them in a second. This is basically some of the test pieces I used with different materials. This is to check that the wee sticky labels stay on. This is checking the copper piping with different fixings. This is checking the acrylics, and you can see the acrylics all cracked because that gives up the ghost at a lower temperature. And there's two different types of acrylic here. This is extruded and this is moulded. The moulded seems to last better, and it was boiled up in heavy caustic solution. But you can see that the materials all last, and this was boiled over weeks, by the way. And you can see that I've had no problem with these fixings in there. This is testing the other stuff on the other side. I was going to use this, but I thought, nah, I'll just press on and try and find a rigid fixing. And that's what this is here. You'll see it totally lasts. There's no cracking coming off it, there's no... I mean, whenever you're sort of doing this, there is sort of, you can, I don't know if you can see that or not, there is wee rough drill hole marks, but it doesn't propagate. This stuff runs into it and it seems to fix it. And when you double the pipe through, I'll show you in a second. This is just a standard fixing that I used. I didn't have the space to boil the big one up. But when you double the pipe through, you've got that firmness there, eh? This doesn't fit. It moves because it was only siliconed in. But when you get the rigid fixing, I tried all sorts of different materials, but they all gave up the ghost and they all failed. Everything except this one. This is the one I'm using. You see that? The pipe actually buckles and bends before this is never geared up. You can actually buckle and bend the pipe. All the rest gave up the ghost. They were tight, and then when you put any kind of pressure on them, they gave up the ghost. But this never gave up the ghost. And I had them fixed in one side because I wanted to check the strength of them. But you'll notice in the other units they're double dower, just to give that added security, and both of them are fixed in the same way. You know, even although this is outside the tube, I still fixed it in the same, with the same rigid fixing. You see that? This is just a test piece I had built for. So, but you can see, especially on this one as well, you can see it's... And because you've got two dissimilar materials, you've got copper and you've got acrylic, this seems to last. You know, it's all the rest gave up the ghost, like I said, but this one you're actually virtually bending the pipe and it will still not give away. It stays firm, stays well fixed. All the rest failed, and you can see there's even bleed out of the copper into the colour. That doesn't happen with this one. And that's absolutely sound as a pound. And it's the way you're putting them in as well. You're putting them through a small hole, but you drill in either side, so you've got a reservoir, like I done with that one over here. Bring it down, you see. back to that for a second, because you can see the reservoir roundabout, although further down. It's an 8mm hole for the pipe. See better here. 8mm hole, and you just shove the pipe right in as far as you possibly can. Then you've got your reservoir. This one's doing about, well, I don't know how far that's doing. It's maybe doing 10mm, 11mm. So that's filling up 11mm with the gunk. That'll go rigid after a day or so. You're curing and never hear about it bother with it, but you'll not move your pipe again. Okay, let's let you see. And you can see the trouble you have with acrylic when it hits certain temperatures. I've not got any dye to put in there. I was trying to use pen, but you can see that because dye would actually show up the cracks, dye penetrant. But you can't quite see them, but believe me, they're there. And you can't bond the similar materials like this, you know, with a extruded acrylic and moulded acrylic. You can't bond them, you'll get cracking in them unless you use certain sort of things like in America it's called weld-on, in the UK it's called tensile, I think it is, tensile 70. And maybe I'll check the name and put a wee thing up. That's the only stuff that seems to work. The other stuff's too viscous, you've got to use a blooming hypodermic to use it. But it's good for other stuff. I mean, it will sort of capillary action, it's called. It will draw itself into a space, which is good for filling spaces. But again, if you're going to be bonding these or moulding these on, just kind of watch what you're doing. Get the right stuff, or you'll end up with cracking if you use any weld-on or the tensile 70. So anyway, just a bit of information. But everything's been, all these fittings I've never had any bother with. They're actually great. The only stuff is this acrylic material is just so blooming difficult to work with. It's just such a nightmare actually.